think after playing Yelan for myself and grinding her up and trying her out, I think I'm ready to really just put out my video on her, on how I feel about her, what I think of her team comps, her build, and talents. So with any further ado, because I don't want to hold up too much of it, hi, this is Nole here, and welcome to the video. If you like the content, then feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification button. You know, the usual thing that everyone says on their channel. So with any further ado, let's begin. So let's go ahead and start with her talents first. If you're wanting to know which talent that you should level up first, I would highly recommend your burst, then your element skill, then finally your normal. Her element skill, Lingering Lifeline, it's a cool skill, I'm not gonna lie, that MiHoYoverse has made for us. Basically what it does is you have two ways to use. You can tap it or hold it. The tap pretty much is you go for a quick dash around the enemy, puts a wire around them, which does hydro damage after it ends. The hold lets you go in this state where you're invisible, but you move faster, and you pretty much can entangle more enemies in the same wire that you have, and it does hydro damage after you come out. And on top of that, it has like a 34% chance of actually resetting your breakthrough, which I didn't talk about. The breakthrough is pretty much this gun you type of move where instead of you always have the ability to shoot it like gun you can only get this when you're outside of combat for 5 seconds, and also the 34% chance with your element skill. So onto her burst. Her burst is pretty much like Sing Cho's. It sends out a beam of hydro damage at an enemy whenever you normal or charge attack an enemy. Her energy cost for this burst is 70, while Sing Cho is 80, which is slightly better. And finally, I forgot to mention that her element skill and burst, and I'm pretty sure the breakthrough, also all revolve around max HP, which is awesome. Now next onto the passive talents. Number one, she's able to get more stuff out of her dispatch for Luwei, which is cool. Next is turn control. Depending on the element types that you have in your party, pretty much Yelan's match health HP is increased by a certain amount. And finally, whenever you have her element burst going on, the longer it is, pretty much you get like more damage as time goes on. Now into her constellations. Her constellation doesn't really change her up that much from a support to a main unless you get her constellation 6, which pretty much makes her from being a support to I'm going to play like gun you, and on top of that be a crazy support. And so her 2, 1, and 4 is the only thing that I really see really beneficial other than that. The next thing I want to talk about her weapon choices. I would say really put on any weapon besides attack percent as the substat only weapon. It will not do anything good. It won't really change your damage output at all. So really the Black Cliff and any of the 5-star bows that have crit and crit damage, or a element recharge bow, are really your best friend that you can really get out of this when it comes down to her weapon choices. For her signature weapon, I sadly did not pull for the weapon, but I can give you my summary on it. I would definitely say that it will work for a lot of other bow characters in Genshin Impact, so I would highly recommend anyone, if you have the means to get it, or if you're just lucky, kudos to you for getting the weapon. But if you want more in-depth about the weapon and everything, I would highly recommend these two videos right here that's right beside each other from other channels that I think are pretty good on this. That helps anyone who's trying to figure out whether or not the weapon is good. And also talk about the other weapon choices other than her signature weapon. Now let's talk about her artifact builds. I would highly recommend these 3 that you should try for. One is going to be the 4-piece emblem set, which provides you with energy recharge because you need that, because her element skill has a problem with giving you enough for it. Unless you're going to run another hydro character, yeah, she's going to struggle. Next is going to be the 2-piece Heart of Death with a 2-piece Megalith, which provides you with the HP that you want, plus also gives you that hydro damage. And then finally is going to be the Hydro Death, again with a Noblage set that gives you more damage on your burst, and on top of that, again, it gives you the hydro damage. Now what stats should you run on your artifacts? I would say 100% you want to try to go for HP percent, crit rate, crit damage, and then element recharge. That is all you want for this character. It's kind of hard to go for all of those, but I will say that if you tend to want more burst, I would say you might want to run a Sans element recharge and then go for the HP as the substat and then crit and crit damage. If you're perfectly fine with not always having your burst up every single time you rotate, then I would say run HP on everything except the Hydro Cup and also your circlet. I would say for your circlet, you want to run crit rate or crit damage, depending on your artifact. Crit rate or crit damage ratio. Now let's talk about her team comp. With Yelan coming off as pretty much the 5-star of Sing Cho, she has literally walked her way into being one of the meta characters for Genshin Impact. She's able to be in one of the biggest team comps that everyone knows in Genshin Impact, which is the universal, or I forgot the other word for it, but basically it's one where you have Raiden Shogun, Bennett, Sing Cho, and Zhang Ling. Now that we have Yelan, you can either replace Sing Cho or you can play Zhang Ling, your choice. And she does just as good as Sing Cho. Another thing is, I think she does really good, and I find this really fun for me personally, is taser comps and any type of fire main DPS carry, really. And she even works in a lot of freeze comps. It's really deep down, any team comp that you have in mind, she works in. Other than just Geo characters, but we all know Geo characters doesn't work with other element characters. So with that being said, like, her and team comps, they just do really well. You can put her on almost anybody and she'll do what she needs to do. The only thing that I have an issue that will not work for her is going to be main DPS. Like, her being a main DPS carry and all of this, it will not work. I tried it. It just doesn't seem that good. It really doesn't scream like she's a main DPS. She screams more as a support than anything. Now let's talk about whether or not you should ever re-summon for her or summon for her at all if you happen not to get her on this go around. I would definitely say that she is a good 5-star that is like Sing Cho. I want to say they did good on this character. I would definitely say they did really good on Yelan, and I would recommend to anyone to pick up a copy of Yelan. Now, I wouldn't say that you should try to summon for more copies of her, and that's just me personally. Other than that, really, it did pretty good. So finally, we at the end, and this is where I say my honest review of this character, and to really put out how I feel about it and just in general with everything else. So first things first, I want to talk about the whole, like, Yelan is a main DPS carry character. She is not. I don't understand what MiHoYo was thinking when they made this character, when they was trying to say, oh, this is a main DPS. This character does not scream or even come off as a main. And to really only really see her as a main character, you have to spend money in order to get her Constellation 6 to even get anything near as being a main DPS. Now granted, I will say that, yeah, can you play her on the field and keep her out and use her like a main DPS? Yes. But is it really the point? No. She's really played like a character that should be used for her element skill and element burst, nothing more. Take her off the field, because that's literally what she is set up to be. It's like the thing with Gunyu. What they first said that she was like a support character, but then when she came out and everything, she was more as a main, and she was played on the field a lot more. Another thing to say on that part is I guess the reason why they called her a main DPS is they took something that Hu Tao had that gives her HP on almost everything that she does. And then the second thought process was, let's take something from Ganyu. Oh, let's take the charge shot thing. And then instead of making it exactly like it, we're just going to make it to where she can only operate it on the 34% chance and when she's come back. I'm gonna be real, I don't use it. I don't see a point in it. I even forget that it exists sometimes when I'm playing Yelan, because in all honesty, it's not needed. It was just no point. So that right there is what I don't understand about this whole kit about Yelan. I think in all honesty, they could have did something different on that, or just honestly just leave it out altogether. I think if they would have just made her how she is, but take that away, I would have still been fine with using the character. Because at the end of the day, she's good character and she's a good support. That's all she really is. She's not a main DPS. There's no way no one can really say she's a main DPS. Another thing I want to talk about is like her substat choices. I do like how MiHoYo is making characters that revolve around one type of main stat, really. I think when they do that, it's a good ideal for a lot of characters. But what I don't like is the fact that with Yelan, you have to make sure that you get a lot of energy recharge for her to work. I mean, like, unless you're really going to run another hydro character with her, it's really a pain, or put in a lot of resources to make sure that she has a lot of HP, then a lot of element recharge, and then have a semi-decent crit rate and crit damage. Okay, we're already cooked enough by trying to summon. We're already cooked enough if you're trying to get a weapon. You're already cooked enough if you're trying to get her artifacts. You're already cooked enough if you're also trying to build her stats. Like, we don't need to like have it to where it's just so big on making sure that your element recharge is at the right frame in order to deal with her being on her own. Me personally, when I play her, I don't care too much about getting the rotation that a lot of people talk about whenever they play Genshin Impact, but I do see whenever I do play her, it is a big issue. And for other people, they might not like the fact that they have to put a lot of resources in there to get the right element recharge. So I would say the only solution to this is probably make her element skill give a little bit more particles back, but other than that, that's really it. That's all the problems that I have really with Yelan. So that's the end of the video, really. I thank you for staying this long if you found this really interesting, and leave it down below how you feel about Yelan. What do you think? Am I wrong? Am I right? And yeah, catch you guys in the next video.